Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with Carrie V. I'm Carrie V, your biggest fan, the person who will believe in you until you can believe in yourself. Coffee and Tea with Carrie V is all things communication, leadership, confidence, clarity, and life. And with us today is Kim Rogers, known as the Worm Queen, and she is going to share with us her story. I'm so excited for you to hear this. I actually met Kim through a user-generated content site, and there are times I get a job in my queue that I'm like, oh my gosh, the gods were looking down on me, and I got this job, and I'm so excited. So this is how I met Kim, and I can't wait for her to share your story. So Kim, without further ado, take it away. Tell us your story.
Hi, everyone. So I was crowned the Worm Queen. It's kind of fun because I don't want to be the Worm Lady.
Worm Queen sounds so much more regal.
Oh, it sounds so good. Like, you can do merch over it. Like, there's so many things you can do with the spinoff and the fun words because, this is such a weird, unusual, gross, heavy topic at times. So you definitely want to have smiles and fun. I think Dr. Jess still calls me the Worm Lady, if I'm not mistaken. I think I'm still that in her phone. So she's about the only one that calls me Worm Lady. I make sure I tell everyone, I'm like, no, it's the Worm Queen.
The Worm Queen sounds so
good. So, thank you for having me. And hopefully the listeners get a little bit out of this other than that, we all have worms because we do. We all have parasites. About 85 to 90% of us have parasites. They're very easy to catch if you eat raw produce, if you eat fish. If you drink the tap water, I've tested multiple places around our country's tap water that have come back positive for nematodes. If you walk outside barefoot, if you have pets, these are all very typical ways for us to catch parasites. And I created a kit called Parify, and we'll go into how all of that got started because it's kind of a journey that we got here. But I just want everyone to know that this is normal and natural, and we just happen to not really think about it here in Western medicine countries where other countries do deworm and cleanse on a regular basis. We just happen to not be one of them because we think that we can't get them in a first world country. And I had them in my water. So I'm pretty sure I had them prior to me living out in Hoodsport. That's where my name, Mrs. RogersHood, came from because my last name's Rogers and I lived in a town called Hoodsport. We used to call it the Hood. So welcome to my hood. We talk about worms, parasites, and mold.
It sounds fascinating to me.
So I have been in Western medicine since 2004. I have 2 healthcare degrees where I was a valedictorian. So I like to learn. I like to study and research. And I worked in the medical field for most of that time. Around 5 years, I worked as a professor and I ran 25 healthcare colleges for DeVry. And I wrote their curriculum. And then I wrote academic medical books like for billing and A&P, and I loved it. It was probably one of my favorite things I've done next to be the Worm Queen. And I got really sick. My health started to decline in 2015. I had stage 4 endometriosis. I had hysterectomy when I was 29, and I've had 13 surgeries. So I get it. Like, I get the professional side of Western medicine, and I get the personal side of being passed around and being chronically ill and not really having anyone listen to me and believe what I'm saying. So I really have led with that while I've been on this mission that I know why I'm here, that this is why I'm here in Earth right now, is to help people understand their bodies and self-heal. And so I kind of took my own advice. And in 2019, I decided to basically check out of my normal life. My husband quit his job and became my caretaker because we needed to get our affairs in order. I was not doing well. My body was declining rapidly, and I was, what we say in the field, circling the drain. And we couldn't get answers. We didn't know why. And so we sold our house, all of our belongings, and we moved out to our recreational property in Hoodsport to build a log home ourselves. And like the worst that would happen obviously is if I passed away and my husband then would not be left with mortgage and debt. And we all know what it looks like to be chronically ill and how expensive it is. So I didn't want to leave him with all of that. So we moved out to our property and I just started to dig. I started to look. I started to switch off of my big pharma medications. I got off of Klonopin after 22 years on the highest dose you could be on. That was just suppressing my nervous system because I had severe PTSD from all of the medical things that I had been through. And I started to really look at what more natural ways I could heal my body. I started researching mushrooms, which I find is the most fascinating thing you can put into your body is things like turkey tail, which I was taking for endometriosis because it helps break down tumors. It's what they give patients that are on chemo meds and chemo to help break down tumors. Lion's mane is what we gave a lot of Alzheimer's patients in the field because I was a licensed medical specialist and I dealt with neurology patients that had Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia, and we would give them lion's mane and to help with brain health. And I just started doing some psilocybin to really help kind of help my nervous system and calm it down and really just go deeper into my body to figure out what was wrong with me because I was not getting help from my colleagues in Western medicine. And so I ended up doing a few trips that I would sit and meditate for the day for 6 to 8 hours. And I kept getting these voices saying, cleanse and, check your water. And like, it was really me telling me that like there was something else going on. And I got to a level of my health that like I was doing better. I had had a mini stroke in January, getting off my Klonopin too fast, but I wasn't where I should be for all of the changes that I was making. And so TikTok has this way about it. I don't know how, but I had a TikTok account and since 2019, and I was teaching people about mushrooms and how to build a log home, and I was featuring our build on my account. And I came across a video where a girl said she almost unalived herself over worms. And she had done another parasite cleanse. And I was like, this is crazy because I thought I had worms like 5 years before, and my doctors told me I was crazy. I thought I saw something on some of my surgery videos because I have all my surgery videos and pictures, and I saw some things moving in it and it looked suspicious. But of course, my doctors were like, no, that's not possible. So I did a cleanse, and within 3 days, the pains that I had had, which I couldn't have any more surgeries, I'm tapped out for endometrial surgeries. And I saw liver flukes, pinworms, and roundworm in the toilet. And I stopped having the pain after 3 days that I had had for 20 years. And I think that was an aha moment for me, an aha moment and a grieving moment. And like, I was mad at the same, it was like a flood of emotions because how did I not know? I had this surgeries and life altering surgeries and I can never get my uterus back.
Right.
And was it worms? Like, was it worms this whole time? And so I finished up a 30-day cleanse and then I did a video in July of 2021. And it's 60-second video, and within 2 hours, 1 million people watched that video. And
Wow.
I've been doing it every day since. I've been talking about it every day since.
Wow. So you did this 30-day cleanse then.
Mhm.
Okay, so give us like go from there now because now you have a cleanse.
Yes.
And so get us from there to where you are now and everything that you are doing now to help people. And how do we know if we need this? And how do we know what to watch for while we're doing the cleanse? And how will we potentially feel? And what should we expect? Like all the things.
So much to unpack.
No.
I mean, So, okay, so I do have my own company and I have my own cleanse. It's called Parify, which is Parasites Purify. We put it together, we trademarked it, we made up a word. It's kind of cool.
I love it.
My company's name is RogersHood, and I started just on a regular, I'll say the company's name. It was Paragard, but it ripped my guts up and it made me realize in those moments that you can't just do wormwood, black walnut, whole garlic. I didn't know what a binder was. Again, I come from Western medicine, and Western medicine, when you use charcoal, you're using it because someone OD'd or they have alcohol poisoning and you're using a lot and you're shoving it down their throats. You're not just doing like a mini microdose of it, which now I know why you do a mini microdose with a parasite cleanse. But at the time, I had no idea. I was literally just doing Paragard and I was feeling better. Like I saw the things evacuating from my body and I was making my body inhospitable, but I was also dusting up candida and causing more issues because I wasn't binding, which is really important. But this isn't something that Western medicine tells you. So I was really relying heavily on my comments because I was doing 5 to 10 videos a day. I was going live. I was taking all the information everyone was giving me, and I was really researching it and digging deep and going through all the Google searches and pulling out and buying all these medical books and natural books and just really kind of consuming as much as I can, because there was something that isn't being told to everyone. And in 21, we had just gotten done with 2020. So people weren't really trusting the Western medicine world. And you just had a lot of people out there just not feeling well and not knowing why. So I kind of just became like the queen of this community, to really the leader of pulling all of the information together, utilizing my Western medicine background, utilizing my education and my knowledge, and kind of tailoring it as I was going. So I did Paragard, and then I found that I really enjoyed taking Oregon grapefruit, which is another anti-parasitic that then is the frequency of that is similar to different small intestinal parasites, which is what I had going on, and also helps with Lyme. And so I didn't know I had Lyme until last year, but I was feeling better while I was on Oregon grapefruit. So then I was like, well, why don't you do Oregon grapefruit with wormwood and see how you do? And I did great. So then I created what now we know as Parify and Sustain in my kit, 2 different tinctures, because they work so well together. And then I was like, well, they're dropping viruses, bacteria, spores, and heavy metals. So you should really add in kind of a heavy metal detoxer, because if you're releasing the heavy metals, then they're just kind of floating around. They feel threatened. So now they're dropping their eggs. So it was like, oh, okay. So you really should be doing candida, heavy metals, parasites, worms, and you have to bind. I'm like, oh, geez, what's this going to cost me and everyone around me? And I was spending all of my time talking about this.
Yeah.
Oh, grab the Paragard, grab Love Your Guts, grab Zeolite, grab this binder. It was like $250 by the end of the day. And you're like, gosh, I have myself have 2 people I got to cleanse. Like that's $500 a month.
Yeah.
How long do I have to do this for? Wait a minute. What else do I need to do while I'm doing it? Where's the directions? Why is there no one talking about this? And so now we're into like September. So July, August, I'm out there just reading comments willy-nilly. Like my video went so viral that I had 1 million viewers the first 2 hours. So far, 10.5 million views on just that one video. At one point, before I got super censored, I had like 30 to 40 million people watching my account a month.
Wow.
And
Wow.
everyone's leaving comments. Like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, ranchers, people from around the world, like Mexico's in my comments, like, you guys are dumb because we do this already. Like, what's the big deal? Like, what, we don't understand why you guys aren't doing this. You have parasites too. Well, you think just because you're in the United States, you don't have parasites? And I'm all, yeah, that's what we all think.
No one's ever talked to me about it. That's for
Right.
sure.
Yeah. And like, I come from this world. I've been in it since 2004 and in the thick of it because I taught people. Like, this was my job, was be a professor, and I taught thousands of students who also don't know anything about it. I mean, some of them have reached out to me since all of this has gone viral. They've seen me, but you just don't know. And so I really dedicated the time over the last 3 years to make sure people are aware that this is an issue. So then I was on a live in September, and I was talking about mushrooms because that's really my passion too, is mushrooms. And my current business partner and my best friend, at the time we weren't friends, we met on TikTok. And she said, I'll help you build a website, because Linktree wasn't a thing 3 years ago. So there really wasn't anywhere for people to go and get your links for affiliates and to buy products that you're talking about. That just wasn't a thing 3 years ago. So she's like, I'll build you a website. Let's talk. And I was like, cool. And I go, I don't have any money to pay you. I'm literally chronically ill, poor, living in a travel trailer, building a log home, which is, very expensive. And so I'm like, can you do it? And if anything ever comes about, we can like talk more about it later. So she did. She built a website, and then we started our cleanse journey together. And I just started researching herbs and the best way to formulate herbs, which is tinctures, because they're readily available into your bloodstream right away. So then December of 21, RogersHood started, and we've just been going every day since.
Wow. Okay, so first, congratulations.
Thanks.
You're welcome. And you look so healthy now. So is your health, has it done a complete turnaround? Are you still on that journey?
I mean, I'm still I'm unpacking a few things that have come up since parasite cleansing, but it all has made sense to me. And it really is a root cause for me was parasites, mold. I found out I have 11 different active molds in my body. And it's helped me understand my mom's health, because my mom's chronically ill. My sister has lupus. So we've all kind of been exposed to a lot of environmental toxins. I genuinely believe we don't have an autoimmune disease issue epidemic in our country. I believe we have an environmental toxin issue, and it's just overlooked. Because since I've realized that I had parasites, and then I lived in mold, I don't live in it now. I've moved out of it. I actually live in a brand new apartment where no one's even lived here before. And I have a brand new house, which we check for mold consecutively. I also had strep, which has created autoimmune encephalitis in my brain. And so my brain swells, which is from strep, which is an environmental toxin. So I also have chronic Lyme, which is an environmental toxin. And so when you sit down and you are able to start to pull out the layers of onion that's going on in your body, you can get down and you can treat these things. They're treatable symptoms to get yourself healthier. And so as I'm going through, treating parasites, which also helps treat the Lyme and helps rid the mold, and also you can do some other things that like maybe I had not even thought about because I hadn't figured out that I had parasites at the time.
Wow. Okay, so tell us, if you would, how do we know if we should do this cleanse? Should everyone do this cleanse? And what does the cleanse look like? And what might we see when we do this cleanse?
Yeah, everybody should do the cleanse. They say 85 to 90% of the population has parasites, and that's Western medicine. Between 1.5 billion and 2 billion documented have parasites, and we don't have accurate lab testing for parasites, and they're also stealthy. They don't want to get discovered, so they can actually hide quite well. So, yeah, everyone should be doing this 3 to 4 times a year minimum. And it's a seasonal thing. Other countries like Mexico, they do it 2 times a year. Some places it's mandatory for them to do it in Mexico, Guatemala, Latin American countries. Jamaica does it. It's called the bush, and it's a tea they drink monthly. So everybody knows that this is a thing because it's in fish, it's in our earth. They're doing their job when they're breaking things down in your body. Like this is their job on earth. And so it really is something that we just haven't even really thought about because we've been told that it's just not something we could ever catch. Well, I caught it from my water as well as other places. I ate a lot of sushi, raw meat, pork, like RFK Jr. had a tapeworm in his brain. Um, so it's this is normal. You can get it from animals. You have pets.
Wow. So when you do the cleanse, if you
Mhm.
have like JFK Jr. had a tapeworm, you said in his brain,
Mhm.
does this
Yeah.
cleanse help with that, even though it's going through your gut?
Yeah, well, it's RFK. He's the one that is, gonna run our
Oh,
healthcare
right.
system. That's okay. I say JFK too, and then I'm like, "Oh, I gotta correct myself." I said it on another podcast, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, it's RFK."
Okay. So
He
does that
has
help with that?
neurocysticercosis, which is a tapeworm of the brain, and it ate some of his brain. And all it is a tapeworm that broke through the blood-brain barrier and laid eggs in his brain. And then he took medication, probably Prozac, and then bam, like gone. But it still has after effects, and they can lay a million eggs a day when they're threatened. So that's kind of scary.
That's very scary.
Yeah.
This is very scary. So,
Mhm.
okay, so tell
Oh, yeah.
us then the
The
process of the
cleanse.
cleanse,
Okay.
and that's okay, I'm throwing a ton of stuff at you all
No,
at
it's good.
once. What does the cleanse look like? I mean, I know now, but I only know, like, this teeny, teeny, tiny amount of what you can present, so I would love to know more about that, and, like, what might we see or what might we feel once we start this cleanse?
Well, you'll definitely feel some die-offs, and die-offs are where they're dying off in your body and they're releasing toxins. They pee and poop in our body, so that gives you headaches, and you might have an ammonia smell. You'll have breakouts because they're trying to escape however they can. That's why the kit's so important to do this whole series because when you bind, they're less likely to come out of your skin, your eyes, your nose, your mouth. They're more likely to come out of your poo. Um, I had them come out of my pee and my feet. That's the most shocking to people. So my skin, my feet, and my pee, because I really made my body inhospitable. We threw everything at these things. So it was it's a pretty typical thing if you don't have a good system set up and you're not peeing, pooping, and perspiring, which are the 3 Ps while you're doing this. You want to make sure you're opening up your pathway. So you're making sure you're peeing, pooping, and perspiring. And I'm not talking about sweating all the time, just making sure you're sweating. I was not a big person that sweat, and that's not healthy because that's toxins being released through your skin. And then with my feet, oh, it's been a minute since I posted that video, so maybe it's time.
Oh, I think so. I
Um,
wanna see the video. Keep going.
I have 2 marks still on my feet. They swam right on and swam around in the fulvic.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow.
That's why we sell fulvic. There's not a lot of people that sell fulvic, and we're one of the people. And if
So
you put
what is
yeah.
fulvic? I'm sorry.
Fulvic is a mineral. It's humic fulvic, and you have 125,000 pores in the bottom of each of your feet. That's why it's really important when you ground that you're grounding in a clean area. The dirt you're grounding in, you need to make sure that you do something like diatomaceous earth to kill any parasites or worms that might be in the dirt. Because if a animal came and went to the bathroom in that spot that you're actually like walking in, and their eggs are hatching, it goes right up into your feet. That's how you catch hookworm, right up into your feet.
You're just leaving me speechless.
I I do that a lot.
I mean, I'm just thinking, how many times do I go outside in my bare feet and the dogs are all over that
Oh,
back,
yeah. Mhm.
all over.
Roundworm, hookworm, flatworm, whipworm, like, all in that area. So I'm not saying don't ground. I am saying, though, when you're walking barefoot on a beach where a dog is, you gotta be really careful because I mean, that's where they live. They live in the dirt. They live in the ground. That's why our water has issues, is because the water comes from the dirt. And yeah, so like if after your mind is blown and you stop and you think about it, like they're doing their job. Like I'm not defending the worms. However,
Yeah. We just don't want them inside our bodies, right?
right, right. We just need to know that there are herbs, and I am a believer in Western medicine and antiparasitics and synthetic medications. I do believe that like you really need to come in and take care of some things. I do antiparasitic synthetic medications. We call them synthetics.
Mhm.
And then I follow up with herbs because the synthetics target just specific ones. But once you target those, you're leaving an opening for other ones. So that's why you come in and you do it with an herbal cleanse after, or you just do herbal cleanses, because an herbal cleanse like Parify is like a Z-Pack, if you know a lot about antibiotics,
Okay.
right? It's not damaging your gut like a antibiotic, but it's similar in sense that we're generalizing all of the parasites and worms that we're trying to get rid of,
Okay.
that cause the symptoms. Another thing that antiparasitic synthetic medications do and don't do is that they, like I said, they just target specifics, which means that that frequency of that ailment is just specific to that problem. Where when you bring in things like wormwood, Oregon grapefruit, cilantro, which is our heavy metal detox, to remove the heavy metals that are weighting down the parasites, to come in and sweep them up with the wormwood and the black walnut hull, breaking the biofilm that we use lungwort lichen for, you're going in and creating a system where with just an antiparasitic synthetic medication, you're just going in and targeting specific ones, and it's not a system, and you still have to bind, which they don't tell everyone that. So they just give you an antiparasitic and they're like, here you go. And you're like, oh, so I just take this for 3 days and I'm fine. Oh yeah. No, you're just killing off the adults and they're leaving their eggs on the way out. So you have to go in and clean up their eggs, and that antiparasitic synthetic, it's not doing that.
Uh-huh. Okay. So so much going through my head right now. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, what are some things that we might be experiencing that are worms, but we are maybe blaming it on something else, or we just don't know why we don't feel good? What are some of the ways we might be feeling?
Grinding your teeth, that is my go-to every time.
Uh-uh.
Yes. Grinding your teeth is a parasite.
Are you serious? I have a
Mhm.
crown from, I mean, recently from grinding so hard.
Yep, it's your body's lymphatic system failing because it's so in fight or flight, and your nervous system doesn't really, not really failing, but your nervous system doesn't really know how to like accept it. And so it's constantly in fight or flight, especially at night, because they're nocturnal creatures, so they're up all night. So if you have insomnia, but your body is trying to resist by grinding the teeth.
Okay, so tick one for me. Okay, what else?
Eating after 7 p.m. and craving sweets.
Okay, tick two.
um, Gut issues because they're in the gut, but they're not just in the gut. That is a something that a lot of people don't know. They're actually in our blood, our tissue, and our muscle, and they're rarely in our gut.
Really?
Yeah, they're not just like swimming around in the gut. They're literally in our blood. I've got some live blood culture analysis that I have posted on my channel a few times, and they're literally swimming in our blood, and they make their way into our cells and they can hatch in our cells. That's why the Parify kit is so good, because it immediately is a tincture and immediately goes into your bloodstream. So that's why it's so effective. And that's the same with antiparasitic synthetics. You're absorbing them directly into your blood and you're trying to push them out of your blood, your tissue, and your muscle. And if you think about when we eat fish or we eat raw meat, which you just don't ever eat anything raw, but they're eating their body, right?
Wow.
So it's in their body. It's 100% going to be in your body.
It's just like Like, it's fascinating me and kind of grossing me out all at the same time. Okay. So let's say that someone is getting this kit. And by the way, since I've been doing this, I think for 11 days,
Good.
do it. I mean, like, do it. It's been quite an experience. And my husband, who usually will not do things, I'll say, like this, has started. He's like,
Nice.
can I do that too? And yeah, and I am sure I'm pretty sure when he started it, the die-off symptoms were the one day where he was on the couch covered up in a
Mm.
blanket, freezing. He was fine the next day. Fine
Yep.
by the time we went to bed. His hands had warmed up again. He was like, "What's wrong with me?" And I was like, I think you might be detoxing a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he was fine, absolutely fine after that. And so I've just been like really digging deep into this, watching what you've got up there, because it was very, very obvious. I had more of headaches and fatigue, but it didn't last long. So when we do this for a certain amount of time. We repeat it a few times a year. What are some things that people might see? You use the term die off. What are those die off symptoms?
Well, you can do it more than just a few times a year. I designed this specifically because I don't want people to waste their money. But if you get done, we give you around 40 to 45 days of product. So you can just take it until it's gone. And then if you're still feeling yucky, then wait 7 days and do it again.
Okay.
And I did that specifically because not everyone wants to go through what you're going through. And
Mhm.
I don't want you to have 90 days or 180 days worth of product and waste your money or waste the product, because herbs are a gift. And
Yeah.
so I wanted to not have a lot of wasted product in life. But yeah, I mean, you guys are definitely going through some things. I think it's great because your skin is looking great. Like, you can see a glow,
Thanks.
and that's a really great indication that you're doing some things to your body that are different, is when you get your skin to glow. If you're having really bad die-offs, you can increase sustain to 3 times a day.
Mhm.
That will help. I made it 2 times a day because it is a lot to do this, and I didn't want people to not do it. If you have a bad cleanse, it's like a bad trip. You're never gonna do it again, and that's
True.
really not the result that I want for people.
Yeah.
So, the binder is really of importance, making sure you're pooping, and then you can bind if you are. But that sustain 3 times a day, man, it's a game changer when you're feeling trashy.
Yes. Yeah, I definitely did increase his. Um, I've been reading, just reading through and looking at, and because it's all new. This is all new to me. So
Mhm.
if I know I'm not going to be home, I put my 15 drops of each one in a little Tupperware container and take it with me. And I sit in the car, like, my covert person, and make sure I still get it down there. So it's just, there's so many things now that I look back and I think, well, like you did when you look back and you're grieving
Yeah.
these things. And that is where my brain has gone to. Would I have had to have my large intestine removed? Would I have had to have a complete hysterectomy? Would I have had my gallbladder out? I mean, there's just been so many things. How much of this is related to parasites?
A lot.
Yeah, and so it's this kind of along the same thought process, and then really wanting to get this out there. I've talked to a few
Mhm.
people and they're like, "Oh, what? Tell me more." And then to hear you say that in all these other countries, they're like, "Well, of course you do this." And we're not.
Yeah. They look at us like you're they literally look at us and they're like, "What's wrong with you people? You are not that great." I'm like, "We know. We know now." Like, we're all sick, you know?
Yes.
And I really believe that we don't have an autoimmune disease epidemic. We have an environmental toxin epidemic that is overlooked because it's so difficult, in my opinion, to come back from, "Oh, we don't have parasites." How do their egos even take that ever?
Yeah.
Ever. Like, "Oh, wait, we completely removed an organ in your body that is life-changing. You can never have children. You're 29 years old. We
I
can never come back from that, and we shouldn't have done that. We should have given you an anti-parasitic.
That I
Like, how do you come back from that? None
I
of them.
I don't know.
Yeah, malpractice all the way, in my opinion. It's medical neglect. It's medical not thinking at all. But they also didn't know. So it's not as if like they maliciously did it
Yeah.
either. They just didn't know, but they're also not willing to step in and go, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and take this hit. And I'm going to say, why don't you just try this? Just try it.
Yeah.
There, and the Parafite kit is not going to hurt you. That's the thing, is you might feel yucky on it, which means there's something going on why you feel yucky. But it's not going to hurt you. And antiparasitics don't hurt you either. So what's the harm in exploring it? And that's really what my movement is about, is what we're talking about right now. And you thinking, oh, the large intestine shouldn't have been removed and the hysterectomies, and maybe, but we didn't know either at the time.
That's right. And how long, so let's say you start the cleanse, you have these die-off symptoms. How long can you expect them to last, or does it depend on how much is coming, how much has to expel itself?
And it could come on your second cleanse. Some people will do one cleanse and they'll be like, this was great. They'll do a second one like, this is the worst ever. And that's how it was for me. I did my first cleanse and I was like seeing stuff. I mean, I felt yucky. The second cleanse, I was out, man. It was so hard, so painful. I could feel, this is, sorry if I freak anyone out. I could feel them being pulled from my muscle and my tissue. And I was having like hard time with my heart because I had threadworms in my lungs and in my heart. And so I could feel them and it was uncomfortable. And that's also why I created the Parafy with willow bark, because it helps calm some of that pain down, because willow bark is Mother Nature's aspirin painkiller. And so I wanted to calm down the pain because it was so uncomfortable for me. And I didn't know still my second cleanse about binding. So my third cleanse is when I really was like, oh, you have to have a binder to bind these things out to help with the uncomfortableness of a cleanse. And my husband had them coming out of his skin. And then that, obviously, me, I can handle it. But when my husband was starting to do this and he was not doing so great, I felt bad. I was like, all right, well, what can we do next? And just like add more.
Yeah.
But you can expect to see things. I mean, we all have them. We all have parasites. It's just, how do those parasites affect you versus affecting someone else? And when they get out of control, that's when your symptoms get out of control. And how are you going to calm them down?
So if someone is experiencing, say, like, I guess what I'm saying is how do we know if what we are experiencing is a parasite or something else, like unexplained weight gain or mind, like your mind being foggy, or like everything you were experiencing, these pains? How do we know? Do we just do the cleanse and see if it helps?
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have some toxins going on. I can take my cleanse now and I don't feel those issues because my body is pretty clean. I do it so often that I don't have those same effects. I don't have die-offs like that anymore. So that's how you know. You just take something, if the root of it is that issue of why you're taking that specific herb or that specific medication, then that's usually what the issue is.
It's just so fascinating. It's so fascinating. And you've mentioned, I'm sorry, I'm keeping you so much
No,
longer
you're
than the 20
no,
minutes.
you're fine. I'm fine. We have like, really, if we want, we have like 15, 20 more minutes. They
Okay.
can wait.
All right.
They'll wait.
Okay. So thank you.
Mhm.
You've mentioned a couple of times environmental toxins. What
Mhm.
are, for people who are listening who don't know what that is and they're like already Googling what are environmental toxins, can you fill us in on what those are?
Environmental toxins are things like parasites, worms, which are two different things, mold, lime, heavy metals. There are things that have been introduced into your body from our environment. And they are, in my opinion, the source of autoimmune because our bodies don't know how to process them. And so our bodies start to attack itself because it doesn't know what else to attack and it's on defense. And these bodies were meant to heal. And so it automatically just starts to attack itself because it doesn't know what's wrong.
Wow. Okay. So when you first said that, my mind was going to like the smell from new carpeting. And
Yep. That's a toxin because it is a chemical that's been introduced into your body from the carpet. I have issues with new couches because they spray a flame retardant on them, and that's absorbing into your skin. I have issues with new jeans because they have formaldehyde, which is absorbing into your skin. And it's an environmental toxin that my body is not familiar with. And so it will automatically go into an autoimmune response to defend itself.
and what does an autoimmune response look like, feel like, sound like?
Rashes, headaches, brain fog, blurred vision. Mine goes into like a blurred vision. So I have a hard time focusing. Um, Smells will do that. Essential oils that are fake are chemical. And so that hormone disruptors, you start to just feel not yourself.
This is all just so, I feel like you're describing my life over the past years, just one thing after another, and just being so confused as to what was going on
Yeah.
in my whole being. You know, yeah.
We were told that this isn't a thing. We were told that candles are good. We were told that the milk we were drinking was fine. We were told that the food we were eating wasn't poisoned. And now, is there options for us? There are so many options now, and things are being exposed more and more people are having medical awakenings to understand that, like, this is your body and it is really meant to heal itself. When you get a cut on your arm, it heals it, right? When you can
Right.
see that cut, it's healing because that's its job. Its job is to heal itself. But when it has other things in the way, it doesn't know how to do that. It doesn't know how to process a parasite that's been weighted down by heavy metals that has spores and a virus in it. And now it's like, which way do I even start? And so it just shuts down because it doesn't know where to even start. And it's sad that we're in the world we're in a sense, because you think about, oh, well, this is an example. Oh, I'm going to go have a matcha with oat milk because I don't want to have, well, the oat milk that I'm going to drink has 5 different types of oils when really it's just like oats and water and a little salt is all we need. Well, then you go, oh, geez, now the oats, like, okay, so where were those grown? Ugh. That's why people just give up because they're like, well, I just slowly dig yourself out, like get rid of the Glade plugins. Make sure you eat as clean as possible. Cleanse the system at least 3 to 4 times a year. Give yourself a fighting chance so that if you are exposed to any of these environmental toxins, which we are on a daily basis, your body can fight it, which is what most of us have the problems. Our bodies are so overloaded that they can't fight when we are exposed. So not just for me, parasites, but we were building a log home. We lived in a moldy travel trailer. The moment I got rid of the parasites, my body reacted to the mold because wormwood does suppress mold spores. So I was actively living in mold and didn't know it. I quit doing the parasite cleanse because I was like, I feel great. My eyes swelled shut 7 days later because now the parasites have been moved out and the mold can party on its own. So now I stepped into the mold world because I realized that I had mold poisoning. I pulled all my furniture away from the walls of the travel trailer and there was mold growing. But I would have never even known that if I hadn't done the parasite cleanse to allow my body to just take a break for a minute,
Yeah.
recalibrate, think about what else could be going on with my body. My hair was falling out. I was like, what's happened? My husband lost all of his hair. He's like 43 years old and just bald. I'm like, I'm balding. I'm like, something's going on, but I would have never been able to even consider the issues if I hadn't at least gotten rid of one of the environmental toxins that was causing me to not be able to function.
So when the mold was discovered, then you found it and were able to reverse that. Did the hair loss stop? Did things reverse?
I mean, I lost half my hair, but it's come back considering it's not full where it used to be, but considering all of my other ailments, yeah, I feel like I'm happy with the stages that it's coming back in. Like
No, I was
this is
gonna
all
say it.
growth and stuff. This was just in 2022. So,
Yeah. I mean, I
yeah.
was, because it looks good. You still have your
Oh,
widow's
okay.
peak, which I'm very, very envious of. I lost mine years ago. See, years ago. I just woke
Mhm.
up one day and I was like, "Where's my widow's peak? And why don't I have full bangs anymore?"
Oh,
You
I,
know?
I I feel you. It was my hair, and then I'm on camera because I've been doing this since 21, and it was 2022. I'm trying to run a business, and I'm going viral, like more viral than I had been in a really long time. And my eyes are like, and so and my hair's falling out. You can see some of my hair was broken in my videos, and I just didn't feel good
Yeah.
again. And I'm like, gosh, I've tested negative for parasites. What else could be going wrong? So that's when I went to my doctor and I had her test me for a ton of different autoimmune issues like Epstein-Barr virus, what I tested positive for, and we all have the mono in us, but it's just a matter of how your co-infections
Yeah.
can affect these things.
Wow. Sorry, she's incest.
Oh, hi.
She must have just come in from outside. She came down like, pick me up. So back in, I don't know, I don't even know how long, maybe 2018, maybe a little bit, maybe even a little before. I lost every hair on my arms, legs, hairline receded, eyebrows, eyelashes gone, gone completely. I still have no hair on my arms and legs. So looking back now, I'm just wondering how much of this was parasites all along, and the like days where I could barely walk up steps, just I had to walk up a flight of steps to get to work. And I would be like halfway up and I work out every day. How can this be so hard to walk up steps?
Not just parasites, but mold. And it can be mold in your work. It could be mold in your house and you don't even know it. But I lost my eyebrows, my eyelashes as well. And it was from mold. And I have some hair that's grown back on my arms, but it was mold. Usually that's a huge indication of mold poisoning and toxicity is the hair loss. That's a big one. So it's like the first thing they should be testing us for is mold, parasites, but they just don't. It's just silly. Like it should be a yearly testing.
I agree.
It doesn't take long to test. It also doesn't take long for mold to grow. It takes about 24 hours. And if you have a leak and don't even know it, we flooded an apartment we were living in just a few months ago, and us in 4 floors. And they immediately went in and ripped everything up. But once it grows, it's like a cancer. You have to cut it out. Like it's not something that's just easily remedied. And if you have someone that comes in, a remediator, it doesn't mean that they got it all. Like you have to rip everything down when you find out you have black toxic mold. And most of it in the houses from a leak are black toxic mold, which is Aspergillus niger, which will kill you. Like I had an 8.5 out of 10 on my blood work. I mean, we were having a hard time breathing. And I was in my trailer 24 hours a day, basically, because I'm chronically ill. I'm running a business. I'm going viral. I'm in the apartment, or I'm in the trailer while my husband is out getting fresh air, building our log home, and then coming in at night, sleeping with his CPAP machine, which has a filter. So he's like not nearly as sick as I am, but I'm like, God, I couldn't walk. I couldn't go upstairs, like you're saying. A lot of it, spores are like needles that go into the joint. And so that causes a lot of pain. Mold does. You add in parasites and you're factoring in a disaster for your body.
This is all so fascinating. I'm just already wondering when you're going to come back because there's so much. And I just would love to reach out to my community after they hear this and say, okay, what else do you want to know?
Yeah.
To help you spread the word and push this out there. This is fascinating to me. I've no healthcare experience other than transcribing medical records and doing billing. That's
But that's a lot. That's a lot. You have a good base of knowledge. I
I
loved medical transcription and
oh,
medical billing and coding. I wrote when they first came out with electronic medical records and you guys had to go through, I wrote all of that. I
oh
helped
my gosh.
develop it. Yeah.
It's fascinating to me. I will geek out about my blood work.
Mhm.
Our new practitioner runs so much, and I cannot wait for Quest to say, "Bing, you have new blood work results." I'm like,
Mhm.
I gotta see what's it
Totally.
looking like. I love looking at this. So hearing what you're saying is just making my brain go so fast on looking back and saying what could have been and things
Mhm.
that we're experiencing now. This is so interesting, and how easy would it be to just get that test done every year?
It's so easy.
No.
It's so easy and really they can make it more accurate. Most of my testing goes to Mexico, like from independent labs that I have utilized. They don't even have the accurate testing here. It's still just not something that for parasites, it's just not something that they will invest in, which is so silly. It's
Really?
just and it's so expensive. Like I get it. Like I don't know. I feel lucky and grateful every day that I am where I'm at, but I also want to show everyone what they can do, you know?
Yes.
So
It's
I
yeah.
feel like we're just facilitating everyone having a medical awakening. Everyone had an awakening at some point in their life, but like medically, this is what's going to push you to have a much better rest of your life and a quality of life.
Yes, because when you are waking up every day feeling like,
Mhm.
the so I had the first part of my hysterectomy in 2009. They left my ovaries in. In 2021, they took the ovaries because they found out that I carry Lynch syndrome. And so after I had colon cancer, then they wanted to take the ovaries because I already had a Lynch cancer. So my odds of getting ovarian cancer were very, very, very high.
I'm sorry.
Thank you. And I thank you. And I feel very fortunate and a huge sense of responsibility because I am the only person in my family who got the Lynch syndrome colon cancer who survived it.
Wow.
I am the only one. So I feel a very deep sense of responsibility to
Mhm.
use my voice in whatever way I can to help spread the word on how to be healthy. So after they took my ovaries, I had no like what should I expect? And they said, well, we'll give you an antidepressant. You might need it. That was all I got. That's it. I had no idea of the freight train that was coming for me. And so getting up every day and praying for death because
Mhm.
existing the way I was existing with the extreme brain fog and joint pain and a massive weight gain in a very short time, all of that. Um, I never want anybody to feel that way. And I know
Yeah.
that I don't know, but I am guessing that going into that surgery, I already was dealing with parasites from
Mhm.
years before. And it was just like it was the cherry on top that sent my body over the edge. It was like, we're done. We're done.
Yeah.
I I open my eyes every day, but that's about it.
And that's not a way to live. Can I
And
give you a recommendation?
yes, please.
I think you should start taking turkey tail 5 grams a day.
Okay.
It's a mushroom.
Yes.
I really like there is a bulk company you can buy in a powder form. Fresh Caps, who I like because they use the actual fruiting body, where a lot of mushroom companies use mycelium with the fruiting body, and I'm a mushroom geek.
Yes.
My first queen was Mushroom Queen before I was Worm Queen, so I really love them. But I like Fresh Cap. It can get a little expensive because you're going to take like 5 capsules a day of turkey tail, so you can make them yourself. I
Okay.
like the turkey tail powder that's from it's like bulk something. It's on Amazon.
Okay.
You wanna add lion's mane, which will help with the brain fog, 5 grams a day. And this is turkey tail is something you're gonna take the rest of your life.
My dogs take turkey tail every day.
That's because it breaks down tumors. I am in remission from endometriosis because I treated it like cancer. And I went in and I looked to see exactly what they did. And this is what they give chemo patients to break down tumors more. One of my previous podcast gals, and I did one with her dad, has had prostate cancer and it's just low level and he doesn't have it anymore because he's been taking turkey tail.
Wow.
And that's the only thing he's done differently for the last year since me and her talked. So all of our scans, but because you have already kind of cells that are there, you can keep it at bay by doing a therapeutic dose of mushrooms. One is turkey tail, lion's mane. Cordyceps is for your bones. And maitake will help regulate your blood sugar as well as your hormones. So I highly recommend maitake for
Okay.
you because you have hormonal imbalance because of your later stage of the ovaries being removed. They should have just removed all of them at once. Like
Yes.
just then it would have been one shock to the system instead of one and then another. And
Yes.
but turkey tail is going to be your best friend. You got to take it every day. You can do it, and they've got tinctures as well. Just take a high dose of it because that'll be therapeutic. If not, it's supplemental. And with us and how easy it is for us to develop those type of cells in our bodies, because I had beginning stages of cervical cancer. That's why I had a radical. They took everything out when I was 29. They left nothing. And so I take that every day. Like my life is so much better just from taking turkey tail. We have a tincture called Red Artist. It's red belted polypore and artist conch, and it will help with your nervous system. Red belted polypore is the white reishi. You
Okay.
just can't grow it. You can only forage it. So we forage red belted and artist conch for red artist. Artist conch helps with digestion issues. It also increases your libido. So when you have a hysterectomy like we have, your hormone levels are a lot lower, your libido is like non-existent. And so it will actually go in and kind of help you feel better and feel pretty and just give you a little bit more back than you had before. So Red Artist is ours and you can get that and you can do a full dropper a day in the mornings. It's just such a great additive to your life, and mushrooms are really amazing.
Yes.
I also recommend microdosing, and that can help with some of that trauma that you have going on. Um, just a small amount. I have 3 very, very reliable people in my link tree that I also use. I used to grow my own. We don't have the time anymore, obviously. And so I've reached out and I've tested all of them myself, and they're trusted sources. They're my personal friends as well. Denver Mycology helped me integrate back into society after I did a lot of mushroom trips. So those are really just kind of just to touch on some more plants that you can add into your system because you've been through it. It'll be really helpful, but you got to take the turkey tail every day the rest of your life. Like it should be. Yeah, there's some really good ones out there. Pill wise, that's what you would want to do, but there's a lot of good tinctures out there, and tinctures are the best way, in my opinion.
I agree. And especially with only half a large intestine, I do as much tincture and
Yeah,
oral as I can and hold it in my mouth to let it absorb in my cheeks before I swallow it down, just because I'm missing part of my digestive
right.
system.
Yeah. I
So
think you're
that's
gonna
why
feel
I geek out over this stuff.
Yeah, man, it's so good. Start digging into plant medicine because our bodies specifically, like everyone in general, but us, me and you, and women that have a lot of estrogen issues that have had hysterectomies, our bodies just don't do well with synthetics. And that's what I found. That's why in 2020 and 2021, I did so good because I removed the synthetic driven medications. And that's how I put my endometriosis in remission. I haven't had surgery since 2019.
Wow. This is so incredibly fascinating. I cannot thank you enough for being here. And I will link your website. I will link um, the Parafy cleanse.
Do you
And
have a code? Do you have your own code?
I believe I do. Yes.
Okay. All
So
right.
I will link that. But even if I don't, I'm putting a link under there so people can get it right away. But I'm pretty
Mhm.
sure I will look all that up. And I really would love to have you back at
Yeah.
some point to to talk even more because I have so many more questions, and I'm sure I'll have even more as I do more days of the cleanse and more time on it. Last year I had recurrent urinary tract infections. And
Candida.
what's that?
That's Candida.
Oh, okay. Well, I did 11 rounds of antibiotics in 9 months, and
Oh, and you probably gave yourself more Candida.
I gave myself a lot of stomach upset or gut upset. That's
Yeah.
so I intend to keep doing this cleanse to try and get everything back.
I recommend staying on Sustain. Do Sustain. Like, I take it every morning, and it makes my skin glow. You got a glow to you. I can tell that you're halfway through because of the glow. So stay on Sustain in the mornings. Get yourself some turkey tail. Maybe
Okay.
do a couple of microdosing just to see how it kind of changes your mindset, and you'll wake up in the mornings feeling more revived and better. And just do a small amount. And that most of the companies that I work with, they give instructions, and they're just there to hold your hand. They really are great people. So if
And
you
we
need
can find all
anything,
of
you
that
have my email. What was that?
We can find all of this on your website, correct?
Yep, all of it on my website or my link tree, and you have my personal email. So please don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Carrie.
So before we let you go, we have to know your version of your Pow Pow shoes.
Okay, what was that again?
Yeah, so like your superpower.
Oh, this.
I'm glad that you said that because I was going to say, nah, it's what you're doing here.
This is my superpower. Like my deep superpower is I can look at people and know what's wrong with them.
Oh, I love that.
I can tell you what worm you have.
Really? This is so cool. Next time you're here, I'm going to bring my husband down and you can tell.
Yeah, I'd love to see him. I can tell when someone has a tape, especially. I don't have a tapeworm. I never have, but I can tell when someone has a tapeworm. Like immediately, I can look at him and go, "Oh, you have a tapeworm."
Really?
The weirdest thing ever.
I want to call him down to my office. This is
my superpower. This is, just giving myself to help others heal.
Yes. Okay. And the last question is a writing prompt, something that will get our listeners writing. I'm a huge believer in the power of journaling and putting your thoughts and feelings on paper. So what can we write about today?
Definitely how you are doing and healing. Like, look to be able to look back and see your before and after.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. We will have you back again as long as you're willing.
Yeah.
And
of course.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Thanks everyone.
Bye.
Bye.